ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is attempt number 2 of daily number 28, the one where I try desperately to get mail sending with SparkPost and not have the stream tank. So today I'm talking about SparkPost. And I got a chance to chat to the folks from SparkPost at FluentConf last week, which is why there were no streams, which is why I wasn't doing any streams anyway. There were probably streams on the internet somewhere. And I got to chat to some folks from SparkPost and to find out a little bit about it. Now, hopefully I'm going to write about that stuff as sort of like an interview form, probably on SitePoint or on a blog or something. But I thought today I would just try and experiment with it and play around with the SDK and try and send some mail and then try and work on some kind of, I don't know, integration or something with a framework. So this is their site. Now, amongst other interesting things, what I found out about them is that Mandrill and MailChimp are built on the same technology that these guys made, which basically means whatever you want to do with Mandrill or MailChimp, except of course have a free account because that doesn't exist anymore with those, you can do with SparkPost. There are one or two technical things that you can do in addition to what you're expecting from Mandrill with SparkPost, but I don't really feel like talking about them. What I do feel like doing is experimenting with this. So this is their site, sparkpost.com, and I want to go straight to dev stuff, and I want to download their PHP SDK, and I want to send some mail with it. So I guess, first of all, while I'm doing that, I probably want to do SparkPost. I probably want to do a separate account, or get an account with them. And PHP SDK is what I'm looking for. So I'll drag this over to another window because I don't particularly want to dox myself. And I'll create an account while I look through this. So view on GitHub. I wonder if that's the link to their... It is indeed. Looks like the link to their SDK. And I'll create a new account in another window. Let's see. Good old 1Password. Hey, it's like my favorite application ever. I'm not a robot. I agree to terms. I agree to terms. Sign up. Okay, so this is their SDK. You probably install it with Composer. What domain will you be sending email from? assertchris.io, maybe? I don't know. Okay, this is the thing that we're going to need. So I'm going to do a Composer install of this quickly in the background, or Composer require. Oh, let's disable that php-v. php70xdebug. Uninstall this manually, apparently. Okay. Let's install that. Right, so while this is going, I'll go back there. Okay, so what do I have to do here? It says your API key. Now, I've signed in, and this is the window that I see, and I forgot to start the timer. So I assume this is the key it's talking about once I've signed up. So I'm going to get that quickly. There we go. I have a big old key. And I will actually return that as a separate file. So key.php. In fact, tell you what. Let's see if I can do this discreetly. So I'll rename this to config.php and drag it over here. The idea is that I put the config values in here and I don't actually share them live on stream. But if I do, it's fine. I can always rename them. Okay, so this is SparkPost SparkPost, and that can be an array, and the value in there can be key, and that can be the value of the key I just generated. SparkPost, do I know? Nah, that's fine. Okay. Now, hopefully I don't show that on stream. If I do, I'll have to change it. But we'll send mail out through this index, PHP, and I'll require vendor autoload, because this is composer based, and I'll also do config is require, I'll do these as function calls, config.php. I'm not sure which form of require I like more, but anyway. This will get me the config. Right, so that's that stuff. I actually want to, there we go. Now I have that in a window. I also forgot to get chat up, so I don't know if you've been asking questions or not. Probably not, because people are usually very quiet in the stream. Now, this should have installed already. Looks like it has. That's interesting. Maybe their SDK needs updated. Anyway. Okay, so this appears to run, which means it should be linking to valid files. And this appears to be the code that we need. So what's this about? Guzzle 6 HTTP adapter. What is Ivory HTTP adapter about? Oh my gosh, my Google foo is terrible. What was this? Allows to issue HTTP requests with 548. We don't need that. That's very interesting. So I wonder if their adapter needs to be updated. I wonder if their adapter needs to be updated just to use Guzzle directly. Maybe that's worth making a pull request over. Okay, let's do some of that code. I like to put require first and then the namespace stuff second, and the config stuff first. So this key should be config SparkPost key. Okay, that's very messy formatting though. Oop. Also, let's convert all of these to that. This formatting is super weird. Also, let's just rename that to adapter because that looks better. Okay, Sparky, transmission, send. And then all of this nonsense. So we can specify from, we can specify the HTML body, a subject, a list of recipients, and well, this formatting, man, this formatting. Okay, so let's just make this my email address. Let's make that. Wonder, will that actually work? Sandbox, that's the address I actually have to use. From that. Oh, and it's already put my email address in. Interesting. Okay, so sending from that seems to be okay. Let's run this. Let's run this and see if it works. Fatal error. Interesting. So we're requiring vendor autoload. This hasn't actually installed Guzzle. SparkPost, PHP SparkPost. Not composer lock, just composer JSON. This require dev guzzle. That's interesting. It doesn't actually require guzzle. You have to do that separately. So what's a recent version of guzzle? Let's see. Packagist. Mouse. Guzzle. This one. Let's see. Recent version 6.1. Let's use 6.1. Okay, then we need to run composer update. That's very interesting. It doesn't actually ship with guzzle. It requires that everything. I have to look up what this alternative is. Anyway, this shouldn't take too long because I've downloaded it recently. Thank you very much. So now PHP index, will that send? Let's see, open up email. Gmail. Oh, Gmail. There we go. I have a message. It sent it to the right account, it sent it from the right address, and it has the same subject and HTML body. That's very easy. So one thing that's interesting to note is that this needs to be a markup string, obviously, because it's an HTML email, and that you can probably send a plain text by using the text property. So, oh no, I just closed the window that had my account stuff open on it. Okay, that's okay. Are there docs back here? Gmail. Let's see. Text, there we go. Okay, so that's interesting. You can do substitution data and then use this format to put the data values in. So it does a little bit of string interpolation. Yeah, that's interesting. Now I can see on the dashboard that I've sent a mail out. Woohoo! And that it has been loaded. So there's a little bit of analytics that are available from this. I'm just going to make this zoomed out a bit so that the interface renders decently. There's some weird layout issues on this. It's quite interesting. Okay, so now we can see we can send HTML body, we can send text body, we can do some string interpolation, though we'd probably, if we were integrating this into like a framework or something, we would probably render this out completely and not do substitution data, which is fine. We can do multiple recipients, and we can catch exceptions, which are just plain old exceptions. Very interesting. Now, there's a couple of things. Firstly, I don't like that this gives me a deprecation warning. The SDK appears to be a little out of date. We go to releases, and let's see where the latest release is. 14 days ago, there is a release. Very interesting. What pull requests are here? Replace. Okay, so it appears that it is something that they are working on, and that's fine. I don't know if I want to contribute to that thing then, although it might be fun to do. Who knows? But what is cool is that sending the mail was relatively painless. It was pretty easy to use the SDK to do stuff. And there are so many properties that you can use, apparently, which is pretty cool. So I'm happy about this. It's actually quite simple, apparently, to use, despite some things needing to be updated. And I guess what becomes interesting now is trying to work it into applications that I already have that need to use this. So maybe we should look at doing some kind of integration, or maybe let's have a look at the API code and see what it can do. So when we create an instance of this, we create an instance of SparkPost, and that, ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Okay, now the constructor creates a new transmission, and over here, this is basically just for sending mail. So there's not really a lot that's going on here. It's probably, we probably need to use the REST API to do very interesting things. So let's go and have a look what those are. Maybe we make a new API for this, who knows. I want to see what kind of data objects you can mess around with in their API. Water. Okay, so metrics. This seems very I don't know, this seems very busy over here. I wonder if it's just coded for like a much larger resolution. How do you do the authorization with this? This is actually what I want to know. Because if I use this, I'm going to need to authorize requests. So, lots and lots and lots of that nonsense. All APIs require that you authenticate with every request. Specify the authorization header with each request. The value must be a valid API key. That's pretty easy to do, I guess. Probably not that secure, to be honest. I wonder what the security implications are of sending the API key over with an authorization header. It's always over HTTPS. I don't know. I'm skeptical about that there's not a lot of weird authentication stuff that has to happen. But anyway, I mean, it's easy enough to test out what this is going to do and maybe to make a different kind of API, I guess. Inbound domains, message events. If I want to send out through the API, what do I use? What does the source code use? Transmission. This create. Extends API resource. Create this call resource. Thanks, time machine. I'll do backups when I want to. Whatever. This resource, this endpoint. Transmissions. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so transmissions appears to be what you need to call this API endpoint. Seems what you need to call to send a mail. You can create a transmission in a number of ways. Sending limits apply to SparkPost only. Scheduling transmissions. Oh, go away. See the options attribute. Content is used to construct a message. So specify the stored template or inline template content. When using a stored template, specify the template ID as described. Otherwise, provide inline content using the fields described in inline content attributes. HTML, text, subject to, from. Okay, so that's the content that it creates it from. Very interesting. So if you want to send transmissions, I guess it's called, through SparkPost API, if you want to send mail from SparkPost, you probably have to create transmissions using this API, using the authentication, which is an authorization header, and then that will send the mail. That's very interesting. I wonder what an SDK for this would look like if it was like being done from the ground up. What this would look like, because there is one, but it's kind of seems crusty, or at least a little bit behind in terms of the libraries that it depends on, and it seems limited just to sending mail, which is okay if that's all you want to do, but maybe we can do a little bit more. See, you can create lists through this API. Recipient lists object. List attributes. Recipients is an array of recipients. That's for each recipient. Address attribute. So that's when you send name and email. Header 2. Very interesting. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a little break and stretch my legs. I'll see you right back now. I'll see you back right now. I'll see you in a minute or 2 or 3. Listen to some music. I'll see you now.